against the Dogs. We'll see what plays out here tonight as Nate Anderson is in the box, and he jumps on the first pitch and makes a bid down that right field line. It's a short corner.
Ooh.
And a long run there for Robbie Burnett. Can't get to it.
Boy, it looked like he took his eyes off of it late, Clay, and that ball almost hit him in the shoe top. Obviously a lot going on there, a ball that almost looked like it sliced back into play, but that ball stayed in the facility, and Robbie Burnett just didn't quite have a feel for where he was at.
Good speed in this Georgia outfield as a breaking ball stays high for Goldstein. There you see Nate Anderson out of Dunwoody. Leads the team with a .326 average. Also leads him in hits, runs, and stolen bases with 17. And another breaking ball that's upstairs.
Goldstein wants to throw that slider curveball away to lefties, but you see a couple breaking balls there that just don't have a whole lot of bite to them. Hasn't had his sharpest breaking ball throughout the course of this season.
2-1 again upstairs, and that's another big miss. So a 3-1 count right out of the gate here to Nate Anderson. Nate Anderson coming off an historic game on Sunday against Liberty, drove in a program record 8 runs. Stand-up leadoff double for Nate Anderson here in Athens to begin the evening.
Well, that's a quick start. Goldstein unable to establish anything other than the fastball. So here on a full count, challenges with a fastball right down Broadway, and Anderson, who can really run, shoots it just past Trey Phelps inside that first base line, a leadoff double. And now you got to deal with Chris Cole, who can really handle the bat and really run himself. It is a dynamic lead to this Kensaw State batting order. 2 kids that can really do some things with the inside game.
Yeah, no doubt. And as you say that, he flashes bunt, and a lot of excitement up here with these 2 guys for sure. And Chris Cole, another veteran, coming off a season-high 4-hit day at Liberty on Sunday, drove in a pair of runs. And you can see the 34 walks this year. That's near the top of Conference USA. Runner at second, just getting started. And there's a strike on the outside corner to Cole.
Yeah, think about dealing with Anderson and Cole. You got 2 guys who OBP at .430 or better. 2 guys that have 16 or more stolen bases. They both hit left-handed, so you always have to fear the bunt for a hit. There's just a lot going on here right out of the gate against the Owls.
And he gets it down, and it's a beautiful bunt. Goldstein has no play. Anderson gets to third, no throw to first and third, nobody out here in the Owls' first inning.
And Clay, you know I love watching home runs, but I tell you, I am a sucker for the inside game. I really am. I mean, this is as good as it gets. And Goldstein had no shot right there. When you play against Anderson and Cole, it is just a constant battle to be able to defend all that they can do, and that is as good as it gets there. A base hit bunt up the third baseline, can't even make a throw. And now you got to deal with the run game. And as you said, Clay, the program's all-time leader in homers.
Donovan Cash with a chance to make a statement here right away in the first inning. 11 homers, 44 runs batted in. Big swing and a miss. Donovan Cash had a 2-homer game in the Liberty series, bringing him to 34 for his career. And a guy who's also leading Conference USA with 19 doubles, so he can find the gaps on. Anderson at third, Cole at first, nobody out. 0-1 breaking ball. That is a good bender from Goldstein.
Yeah, by far the best breaking ball we've seen in the ball game, and right on time. You said it, Clay. 19 homers, 19 doubles, 11 homers, slugging over 600. Having himself one heck of a year.
Take a seat, 1 away.
How about this? Changeup, curveball, changeup. And boy, it just didn't look like Cash saw that at all. He's about a foot out in front of that one. couple really nice changeups and a missed opportunity there from Donovan Cash.
And now here comes Jackson Cirillo, the cleanup hitter in right field. He's been a mainstay in the Owls lineup the last 3 years. A lanky 6'6", 195 pounds.
Kind of has a little Charlie Condon, left-handed Charlie Condon vibes with that frame.
Looks like he would be just as comfortable on the hardwood as he is in the batter's box here. And Goldstein's
going to wait till the shortstop gets the ball and make Colby Branch play catch from an uncomfortable platform where he has to make a throw that you just don't make a ton in a game, and that one sails, and the Owls strike first.
No
You'll see
error
what
on the play.
what a lot of teams do there, Clay, is they'll just double steal it. And if they pick, the guy from third goes right on the same break the guy from first is going to second. And so if they throw it to first, sometimes the guy from third will steal it straight up. But that time it looked like Anderson was just waiting for the right time in the rundown to make his break. And, boy, that worked out well.
And that's how they're going to rule it. Double steal of home. And so Anderson scores the first run of the game, and now a 2-1 count here on Cirillo. Just off the plate. So now 2-2 to Cirillo. These Owls, they're playing inspired baseball right now. You kind of touched on it, Berkey. This team 11-4 in the month of April. This is a very confident bunch coming into Athens tonight.
Yeah, playing their best ball down the stretch.
Fastball. Swung on and missed, full count.
And we all know in a lot of these conferences, you asked today, is this maybe a two-bid league? I think it definitely could be. I think you could see Western Kentucky. I think you could see DBU. And if one of those two teams doesn't win the conference championship, maybe another. So, I mean, you're talking about the conference champ plus one. Probably not three, but it's a heck of a baseball league.
Just got a piece of it to stay alive.
You got Louisiana Tech in that mix. I mean, there's some real pedigree in that conference.
Now, Western Kentucky was really good at the beginning of the year. And, they're certainly in the conversation for one of those bids. Now, Dallas Baptist, since joining Conference USA, they've been kind of the flag bearer in CUSA. But Kensaw, in year one, making some noise. They've been impressive. Rides in and hits Pseudo. So the inning carries on, first and second, 2 outs. And Wes Allig will get a chance.
Well, how about that? That's beating Georgia at their own game. We all know Georgia loves to stand in there and take an HBP, 12th in the country themselves, but they got a motto, we don't move. Well, you see Kennesaw State right there, and Pseudo just hang in there and let that ball hit him right on the forearm, and now you got a couple on with 2 outs. He gone.
Swung out and missed, and an easy steal of third for Chris Cole. No throw from Daniel Jackson, the catcher.
Boy, that was a great jump. And Cole just hunting it. Now, you're disappointed that Pseudo doesn't follow him. The old adage is if I go, you go, right? If the lead runner goes, the trail runner is supposed to go. Having said that, Clay, this presents a similar type of opportunity that we already saw in this inning, where you can do a little first and third base running right here.
That's the 5th stolen base for Cole this year. Wesley Allig at the plate, the 0-1 pitch, breaking ball, pounded into the turf, scooped up nicely by Alford, and he throws across for the 3rd out. So a couple stranded for Kennesaw State, but they break out on top. And now the Bulldogs coming up for the first. Nate Hellman, redshirt sophomore, transfer from Saddleback College in California. He is going to get the start, his first of the year.
Big time arm. How about this? 88% fastball usage, Clay. I don't think I've seen a higher usage this year. So for Hellman, you're going to get fastball with the occasional off-speed pitch, but there's some unique traits to it. You see 16 Ks in just 13 2/3 innings, so you know there's some life to this thing. Even though hitters know it's coming, there's a ton of swing and miss in that offering.
Brennan Hudson is going to be the leadoff hitter tonight. And there you see Colby Branch, 3 for 3 with a couple of home runs on Saturday against Oklahoma. He'll be in the 5-hole and, as usual, playing shortstop. We've talked about the power of this offense. Also a very respectable batting average as a team, .291 coming into the night. And they hope they can carry on from the offensive resurgence in those last 2 games of the Sooner series. And here comes Brennan Hudson to the plate. So it's an interesting lineup tonight. Hudson is going to lead off. He came in for Rylan Zaborowski at first base in the 2nd inning on Sunday. Zaborowski injured his throwing arm on a relay to home. Actually had to see the doctor today. We haven't had word on the outcome of that doctor's appointment, but Zaborowski not in the lineup tonight. Hudson is the DH.
Yeah, some anxious moments, Clay, as they're awaiting what the deal is with Zaborowski, because he's clearly been one of their most valuable players, one of the most valuable players in the league.
We were thinking of him about a month ago as a favorite for the Golden Spikes Award. Maybe some still think he can get healthy and have an impact on that award, but that's going to be another hit batter. How about it? They continue to pile up for Georgia. Hudson's on here in the 1st inning.
Yeah, one thing you know when you play Georgia, you got Will Coggin and Nick Amorati, who came from Kentucky, and Kentucky's been famous for the last few years, and so you got an offensive system. You see the dugout gets a big kick out of it. It's really a badge of honor with this club, and so if you try to work in, you better not miss, because they are not going to move.
Slade Alford having a really nice year for Georgia. Came into the season with a bit of a chip on his shoulder, was not drafted. Maybe in the best shape of his life now, 25 pounds lighter than he was a season ago, and the numbers have been outstanding. 13 homers, 48 runs batted in, jumps on the first pitch, could be 2. Hudson's out at second. The throw to first is offline and not on time. And so Alford will be at first base, 1 down, and Robbie Burnett will come up here in the 1st inning.
Well, they had a double play right there, too. Allig just wasn't able to finish that one off. Mims to Allig, and that had 5-4-3 written all over it, but Kennesaw State unable to finish that throw at first base, and Georgia avoids the rally killer.
So Alford at first, and here's Burnett in right field. The home run leader in the SEC and 2nd in the nation with 18 bombs on the year. Robbie Burnett, transfer from UNC Asheville, tore up the Big South for 3 years, hit 17 homers a year ago, but you just never know how a player is going to adjust to the SEC. Well, Robbie Burnett has done just fine.
Yeah, you can say that, Clay. I mean, it's just incredible what he's been able to put together. And you see right there, that is a perfect look at this young man's bat path, which really is severely uphill. I think most people would agree with that. I mean, he really kind of collapsed that back shoulder and really works uphill to the ball. And when you watch him, you just feel like there's a lot of room to pitch him up. But he is one of those hitters that is so good at hitting mistakes. Yeah, you might be able to get him up, but if you miss, he's going to launch one on you.
You talked about that bat path with Wes Johnson earlier today. I would think you're a guy who teaches hitting. You know, when you see Burnett swing, is that one of those swings you would be inclined to try and teach him to address?
I think the fear would be that premium. Look at this.
Oh,
That's what I'm talking about. Like you would think he couldn't get to that ball, but he just tomahawked it 400 feet sideways. And so, especially once you recruit him from the transfer portal, you obviously recruited him, a veteran player, because of the damage he had done. But then you get a fall to watch, and you say, okay, let's see how he does. Georgia's got as much velocity on their staff as anybody in the league. So it's like, well, let's see how he does before we start tinkering with the path. And the Bulldogs tie it up.
Big smile on the face of Colby Branch. His 29th run batted in. And we're even here in the first inning as Nolan McCarthy will come up for the first time. The veteran transfer from Kentucky. Jumps on the first pitch and fouls it back. Graduate student out of Kalamazoo, Michigan. 285. Has hit 8 out of the ballpark this year. 35 runs batted in for McCarthy. There's a good breaking ball from Hellman. Used a lot out of the bullpen. But again, making his first start of the year and in Athens, Georgia. It's not an easy place to make that first start.
No, it isn't. And when it's one thing to pitch out of the bullpen, come in and just heave heaters. When you're starting a ball game and trying to get some depth, you got to at least establish something else.
This one is hit to center. Fairly deep, but in front of the warning track, hauling it in that sunshine is Chris Cole for the third out. Georgia gets a run back, and we're tied. Head coach of Georgia. And what a great pitching coach he has been in his career before getting the post in Athens. Helped 5 different programs get to an NCAA tournament. Of course, helped Arkansas and LSU get to College World Series, and then Bayou Bengals won it all when he was the pitching coach in 2023. He has done wonderful things in bringing this program back to national prominence.
Yeah, it's been a very quick turnaround, and Scott Strickland left him with a nice group of players. Of course, Corey Collins and Charlie Condon, chief of those. But Wes Johnson has done a really nice job with the pitching and a great job in the portal. I mean, this is not a rebuild from within. This has been a heavy transfer portal program over the last couple of years. I know they'd like to do some more internal state recruiting and build it more from the freshman class, but as far as coming in and changing the product on the field quickly, boy, have Wes Johnson and his staff been able to do that.
Well, we told you we might see 8 or 10 pitchers for Wes Johnson's team tonight. We've already got a pitching change. Jordan Stevens, 1 pitch, 1 out, as Hudson Mims flies out to right field. Jordan Stevens, a transfer who was a freshman at Abraham Baldwin Ag College in Tifton, Georgia last year. And the sophomore is going to get maybe an inning of work here tonight. He's been pretty good.
He's been really good. 3 saves, 3 wins. Fastball gets up to 99 miles an hour. And he was pitching where, Clay?
That would be Abraham Baldwin Agriculture College in Tifton, Georgia. It's a mouthful.
Somebody called Coach Johnson and said, hey, man, I got a dude that I don't think should be at the Ag College down the street.
Hey, you pitch well enough, they'll find you from anywhere.
That is exactly right.
Here's the 0-1 pitch to James McGee. McGee is getting the start behind the plate for the Owls tonight. He's a freshman, starting for just the 7th time in his career. Their primary catcher, Aaron Posey, getting the night off. So Charlie Goldstein went 1 inning and gave up a run. And there were a couple of hits in that first inning for Kensaw State, and we talked about the small ball approach being the reason that led to the run.
Yeah, just playing baseball. I loved how Ryan Coe said it. Like, some people call me old school. We're just playing baseball. And I love that mindset, because the reality is every good offense in every sport, basketball, baseball, football, fill in the blank, should be multiple, right? You don't want to get stuck too heavy in any one lane, because you need to be able to play the game as it's presented in front of you that day. for Kennesaw State, they can hit the ball at the ballpark, but they can also do some different things and produce offense in different ways, and we certainly saw that in the first inning.
James McGee, the 8-hole hitter for Kennesaw State. He has worked a 3-1 count, and that's way outside for Stevens. So that is the second freebie given up by Georgia pitching tonight, as Goldstein hit a batter in the first. Now he walks McGee. Shamar McDuffie will come up now. McDuffie has started every game this season at shortstop for Kennesaw State. And first pitch is a breaking ball in there for a strike. You know, we're going to see a lot of pitchers, okay? That's been established. There are some guys that, you know, Wes Johnson has said he wants to see for sure tonight. The 0-1, and another breaking ball lands in there, 0-2. He wants to see Hoskins, Hammond, and Farley. And, you know, there are a couple of other guys he's hoping to see, but you know, this is the approach he uses with these midweek games, a chance to build depth in the bullpen.
Yeah, and you got to keep guys fresh, and you're working on stuff, and you want them to get opportunities to go out there and execute in the game. And then the flip side of that, Clay, is these games matter. They, you know, Kennesaw State's a number 52 in the RPI and a team that could potentially be in the regional. So these are games where, yeah, you're getting work, but you're also running guys out there that, especially from a pecking order standpoint, that have earned the opportunity through good performance to pitch in these ball games.
Strike 3. 2 down as Stevens walks McGee, but then comes back with a nice strikeout of McDuffie.
Boy, watch this. This is a buckle job right here. McDuffie just kind of, you can see the upper body working back and away from the baseball. I think he thinks right there, you see the buckle. He thinks that's a fastball coming at his chin, and that thing takes a nosedive as it gets to home plate.
Back to the top of the order, and Anderson, who started the game with a double and came around to score the first run of the night. Now 17 straight games for Anderson having reached base. That goes to the screen. And that's going to allow McGee to get into scoring position.
Well, Anderson, a young man that swung the bat at a very high level all year long, gets a opportunity to drive in a run here with a runner in scoring position off a free base. You got a walk and a wild pitch, and now you get a chance to take the lead here if Kennesaw State can capitalize.
One on, 2 out, the 1-1. 1-2.
Pretty pitch. Just a paint job. Mid-90s fastball right on the outside edge.
Might be the only inning for Jordan Stevens, trying to make it memorable. This one is charged to center, but medium deep. And right there is Obi. He'll make the catch. So McGee is stranded. We played 1.5, tied at 1.
You know, still a ton to be decided, a lot up in the air in a league that just, other than Texas, has a lot of parity.
Here we go to the bottom of the second inning. Ryan Black, Daniel Jackson, Devin Obi for Georgia, 7, 8, and 9. The big news in the SEC yesterday, Mississippi State firing head coach Chris Lemonis. Kind of maybe shocking some people around the college baseball world, because, you know, it wasn't that long ago that Mississippi State won a national championship, 2021, under the leadership of Chris Lemonis. But, you know, it's been basically downhill since. They got out to that 1-9 league start, and Mississippi State decides to part ways with Lemonis.
Yeah, let me first start by saying Chris Lemonis is one of the best dudes you will meet in the game of baseball, one of my favorite people to talk to and cover. And so it stinks to see him not have a chance to finish this season and get hot. He's also the only national championship coach in the history of Mississippi State University. So went to College World Series twice, won a national championship. I hope that sometime down the road he will get his due there and be remembered with the greats that have led it.
Down swinging.
It seems as though there's a trend right now in college athletics. We saw this some in hoops too, Clay, where athletic directors, once they make their decision, they want to get out in front of it, because the shame of it from where I sit, and I think a lot of the people that respect and were pulling for Chris Lemonis, is you could argue the last three series for Mississippi State are some of the ones that are most navigable for them. Like it set them up to get hot, so to speak. You know what I mean? And so it almost feels like they just didn't want to give him that chance to get hot and potentially make a run. And we've seen teams with 13, 14 wins from conference play end up in Omaha. And so they went ahead and made that decision. But it's a shame he didn't get a chance to finish this year out.
Jackson takes that one off the body. Second hit batsman by Nate Hellman in this ball game. He hit Brennan Hudson to start the first inning. Now hits the 8-hole hitter Jackson.
He came into the game with just one HBP on the year. He's already doubled that in this ball game.
Well, Nate Hellman out here for the second inning. I'm sure Kensaw hoping that they can get another full inning out of him. But now after Obi, he's going to be facing the Bulldogs order for the second time around. Obi, 264, 10 homers, 33 runs batted in. Athletic senior out of Nashville, transferred in from Duke. 10 homers, 10 stolen bases.
This is part of the reason this Georgia team leads the country in homers. You got a guy like Obi with 10 home runs sitting down there in the 9-hole. And, there can be certain lineups where you can relax as you get deeper into the batting order, but not with Georgia.
Runner goes, and James McGee is not going to have a throw. Daniel Jackson with a stolen base. Two balls, no strikes on Obi. Now Chris Pollard was sorry to lose this guy. He was the MVP of the ACC tournament last year. Devin Obi. Great get out of the portal for Georgia. There's a 3-0 fastball at the knees, 3-1.
Yeah, we talked about it earlier, Clay. This is a Georgia roster that is littered with portal players. Again, in the starting lineup today, Trey Phelps, the only one that was homegrown from the University of Georgia. So they got pieces from all over the place.
And he walked him, which is kind of counterintuitive to how you thought, success at Georgia would come, but it's just a new age in college baseball. You almost have to use the portal in some form or fashion, or you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, and if you're really good at it, the way Georgia has proven to be, man, you can change things quickly. I mean, think about what they lost. Corey Collins and Charlie Condon, two of the best players to ever play at Georgia. In 25 years from now, they'll still be two of the best players to ever play from Georgia. And I thought they had a great approach. They knew they couldn't replace those two players dude for dude, so they went out and really tried to attack the portal with a bunch of different players that they felt like they could supplement that offense. But I will say, between Rylan Zaborowski and Robbie Burnett, those two, I mean, they're not Corey Collins and Charlie Condon, but from a production standpoint, that's probably closer to replacing those two Wes Johnson ever felt like they could get.
Hudson was hit by a pitch in the first inning. Hudson hit a 3-run homer in the 6th. That proved to be the game and series winning hit on Sunday. And now we're going to get a trip to the mound here. The pitching coach, Matt Passewer, is coming out.
Yep, time for a chat. And this is a Kennesaw State team that, to start the season, Clay, lost their 2 best arms. They've lost one of their best bullpen pieces. So, you know, nobody loves 10 or 12 pitchers. Most teams really love 6, maybe 7, and then they have a few others that they have some confidence in. And so when you start your year off with 3 of your top 6 out for the year, or most of the year, a couple of those guys got hurt about a month in, but those are tough injuries to overcome. But Kennesaw State has been able to. That said, when you get into these midweek games and you're light at the top of your pitching depth chart, then sometimes in the midweek, especially against a team like Georgia, you got to run a kid like Hellman out there and ask him to do something that's maybe a little out of his comfort zone from what he's shown throughout the course of the year. So they're trying to get some length out of Hellman.
Saw Ryan Renfro, sophomore right-hander, getting loose down there for Kennesaw. 2 balls and no strikes on Hudson. Yeah, when we were talking with Ryan Coe, you know, he said, yeah, we've got a good record. We're second in Conference USA, but we've kind of done it with smoke and mirrors, as beat up as we've been, especially on the mound. There's a big cut. Coming up empty is Hudson, 2-1.
Yeah. It's funny, Clay, I was in Austin, Texas all weekend, and Jim Schlossnagel's got the #1 team in the country. A team in Texas that's off to, from a record standpoint, as good a start as anybody's ever been in the history of this league. And he used the same term for Texas, which I thought was pretty hilarious. You're 19-2, and you're like, Coach, how are you guys getting it done? And he didn't have a great answer for us. But statistically, they lead the SEC in pitching and defense. So just no matter how offensive this game gets, if you can pitch and defend at a well above average level, you still got a chance to stack victories.
Oh, Hudson unleashes high and deep to right, but it's going to stay in the ballpark. Circling under it is Cirillo, puts it away, gets it quickly on the infield. And so that is well done by Cirillo to hold the runners for the second out. Hudson, it came off the bat like it might be leaving the ballpark, but it stays in. There's absolutely no wind tonight. We're going to talk to Ryan Coe coming up at the start of next inning.
Yeah, I'm thinking Hudson must have hit that one off the end of the pack, because I was with you, Clay. That had the trajectory of a long, long home run, but not even really did it scare the fence. And now Slade Alford with a chance to do some 2-out damage.
Well, there's a warning from the umpire. Kevin Elsey coming out and telling Hellman to slow down a little bit. Alford with an on-base streak now of 30 games after reaching on a fielder's choice in the first.
He's been incredible over the last 2 years here in Athens. I mean, just stacking back-to-back super productive seasons, has a chance to hit 20 home runs. As you said, it really changed his body and is playing a nice third base.
Fastball in, ripped down the line, and that's fair. That's going to score 1. Coming around third, trying to score is Obi, and he will.
To other fields around the league is right down the left field line, 350 feet with some foul territory. And as soon as he hooked that one into the corner, you know somebody with the speed of Obi was going to score easily, and Georgia gets out to a 2-run lead.
Yeah, that was smoked. And now here's Robbie Burnett, and again that uphill and a fly ball to left. Anderson is going to lope in, gets under it, and makes the catch for the third out. But a 2-run double for Alford, and Georgia leads it 3-1 after 2. You know, he's really proud about what they're doing there. They're upgraded the facilities. They're giving the ballpark a facelift, and you know he's building it he thinks the right way with a high school foundation. He doesn't think that the portal is going to be how he is going to get most of his players in years to come. He might pick and choose where he can, but for the most part, he's going to do it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I think that's what he's going to sell too. I mean, you got a program in Kensaw State that it's a university that's exploding. What did he tell us today? 49,000 students at Kensaw State. They got a brand new facility coming in. They're playing in one of the best mid-major conferences in all of college baseball that has great weather, big-time conference opponents that value the sport of baseball. And so there's a lot to sell. And I think as some of the major universities go heavy into the portal, Kennesaw State's selling that this is a place where kids from the state of Georgia can come and develop. And I think he's showing that with the way his roster's configured here in year 4.
New pitcher for Georgia. Nate Taylor is on the mound now, making his first appearance since April the 17th at Vanderbilt.
Freshman making his 7th appearance. Fastball get up to 95 miles an hour, slider, curveball, changeup as well. But this is a kid that, we talk about homegrown talent. This is one of them right here, where if you're Wes Johnson, this is a kid you'd like to see get going and develop in your program, because he certainly has all the measurables to get it done at this level.
Full count to Chris Cole, who had a bunt single his first time up. Stole a base, was stranded at third. Wes Johnson, Berkey, likes his weekend rotation. He's got Brian Curley, Leighton Finley, and Colton Smith. Talked about, just trying to figure out some bullpen pieces yet. But he really likes his weekend rotation.
It's really starting to come together. And that was supposed to be the strength of this club. It was, okay, Georgia lost a bunch of offense, but, man, look what they return on the mound with Colton Smith and Leighton Finley and Charlie Goldstein coming back, and everybody, Nate Taylor and Chris Cole goes down swinging. But what's funny is we've seen this with a few teams, Arkansas kind of being one of them, to be honest with you, Clay. You bank on a team being really good because you think this is what's going to carry them, and it ends up being that. And early on, Georgia was not pitching very well, but the offense was just so explosive that even though they didn't pitch very well, the offense carried them to a top 5 ranking. And now as the offense is slowed, the pitching started to really solidify itself, and I think they love where they're at with Curley, Smith, and Finley on the weekend. And they got enough bullpen pieces that on any given weekend they're going to be able to figure out how to navigate the back end as well. But you see Curley there in the red jacket on the left, the transfer from VCU. Not the tallest ace in the league, but, man,
no.
The fastball running up there 97, 98 miles an hour.
1 strike to Donovan Cash. Kennesaw State DH, now 2 strikes as Nate Taylor clips the outside corner. Cash struck out back in the first inning against Goldstein. Jordan Stevens, I thought, was really good on the mound for his 1 inning. Did give up the free pass to James McGee, but had a strikeout and a couple of lazy fly balls. 13-pitch inning for Nate Taylor. He's worth tuning in for that, Berkey.
Yes, tune in. That is must-see TV. Connor Fennell, he's breathing like a dragon out on the mound. He works so fast, he got Mike Bianco thrown out of the game because he's pitching so fast. Everybody's arguing that he's quick pitching. And, oh, by the way, his pitches are invisible. I mean, dude's striking out 2 an inning. He punched out 12 the other day. I think his K per 9 is even higher than Liam Doyle, who's leading the SEC and the country in strikeouts. So, and, oh, yeah, he weighs about 150 pounds, and he throws 88. So try to add all that up. I can't figure it out. It's pretty entertaining, though.
Well, here's another right-hander. Ryan Renfroe making his 19th appearance. That's second most on this Owls pitching staff. He got hit around a little bit in his last outing at Liberty over the weekend. Gave up 4 hits and a run in an inning and 2/3 of relief. But he's going to face Trey Phelps, Colby Branch, Nolan McCarthy as advertised, we are seeing a bunch of pitchers here tonight. This is the second for the Owls. Georgia's already run 3 pitchers out there. Phelps with an infield single back in the first inning.
And it's mostly fastball cutter from Renfroe. You see first pitch cutter right there, gets a swing and a miss.
That's down in the turf. A ball and a strike. This is new turf here at Foley Field this year. Really good looking ballpark. It always was, but the upgrades they've made here are fantastic. We'll talk more about that in a little bit.
Oh, no, they have really gotten their ballpark on par with the rest of the Southeastern Conference. There was a while there where Foley Field was a good bit behind some of the programs that they were trying to chase and catch in this league, but no more. This place is right up there with the top of the league as far as player and fan amenities, which, you know, modern day college baseball, you not only need to take care of your players and have opportunities for them to excel and develop and be taken care of under the stadium, but then one thing the SEC has proven, if you give fans a great venue, they will pack these stadiums across this conference, and this place has been no different this year.
Base hit. So Trey average being down from last year, but a couple of hits tonight. He had a pretty good weekend against the Sooners, couple of home runs, so maybe he's starting to find it again.
Starting to heat up. And the perfect time of the year, again, a young man that finished really, really strong last season and starting to warm up now here as the weather's turning as well. Just needs it to get hot, Clay.
Yeah, when the weather warms up.
That's right.
Colby Branch drove in the first Georgia run tonight. RBI single in the first inning. Renfroe's pitch, outside corner, strike one. You know, this ballpark, it's good for the fans, but it's certainly good for the Georgia players, too. This team has been outstanding at home. 26-3 this year. Big miss there. And now, on the road, it's a different story, Berkey. They're underwater, 6-8 on the road. So, we've been talking about that top 8 national seed. It seems like it's extra vital for a team like Georgia when the record is as askew as it is, home compared to road. If they can be home for a couple of rounds of the national tournament, that really increases anybody's chances, but maybe especially Georgia's, to get to Omaha.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And honestly, I thought the same thing last year, and of course, they lost to just a red-hot NC State team in Game 3. They were just a few pitches away from getting to Omaha in Wes Johnson's first year. But I would agree with that. I think the ability to finish strong and play here in the friendly confines is paramount to this team getting to Omaha.
Good slider. And Branch goes down swinging. Ryan Renfroe gives up the hit to Phelps, but then comes back with a strikeout of Branch. One away.
I also think, you know, the road schedule gets a little friendlier. You're playing at Missouri this weekend and then at Alabama the following weekend, whereas to this point you've played at Vanderbilt, you played at Texas. Now they were able to sweep Florida at Florida, but you know, at Vandy and at Texas, those are two places where very few people have won any ball games.
Nolan McCarthy flew out to center his only time up, 0 for 1. You know, Missouri, even though the Tigers are 0-21, they are so desperate to get a victory. I don't know that that would be a fun team to play. The longer this drought goes for them, you know, they're eventually going to get somebody, you would think, and that's going to be a base taken there by Phelps as it gets to the screen.
So you're going with the law of averages.
I am. I think eventually somebody's going to get beat by it. But yeah, I could be wrong.
I think the conventional wisdom says they're not going to go 0-30. It's never happened. By the same token, nobody's ever been 0-21. So.
Yeah. Well said. Strike to McCarthy, 1-1.
It's it's interesting, Clay. I think that's been one of the conversations around the league this year is how the committee potentially would weigh if Missouri doesn't win a ball game, how that would factor in if you do get a couple teams from the SEC on the bubble.
Phelps will stop, and now runners at the corners with one down. And Ryan Black with a chance to add to the Georgia lead here with one out in the third inning.
Yeah, a couple of rockets to the outfield here by the Bulldogs this inning. Clay, do you have that same chain that Trey Phelps has?
No,
that from
I
time
don't.
To time?
I'm looking for one like it.
Okay. I mean, that's some serious hardware there now.
I wonder if it slows him down at all. It looks heavy.
I'd be worried about it popping, like on a headfirst dive. I mean, that feels like a pretty heavy investment.
Big swing there by Black. Black struck out his first time up. Ryan Black, 284, 6 homers, 12 runs batted in. Went 2 for 3 with a homer and 2 runs batted in against the Owls in Marietta back in February. The Owls playing home games in Marietta this season. Mickey Dunn Stadium, we talked about it's under construction. And another hit batter. That is the third Georgia Bulldog to take one off the body in this ball game, and it's by 2 different pitchers.
Well, we talked about Texas winning with pitching and defense, and that's a tale as old as time. So is free bases will get you beat. And you heard Ryan Coas. He's got his hands over his head right there. You heard him talking about their starter, Nate Hellman, did a pretty nice job other than too many free passes, and now Ryan Renfroe enters the game. And you can live with a couple line drives to the outfield, but then the HBP to load the bases makes things awfully difficult.
Jackson was hit by a pitch, then stole a base and came around to score. So 99 hit by pitch this year for the Bulldogs as a team. I would think that cold tub after ball games gets used quite a bit.
Yeah, when your motto's "we don't move," Clay, you better have the ice bath ready.
2-0 to Jackson, breaking ball swatted foul. Third base coach Brock Bennett
getting some love.
Yeah,
just
that looked pretty easy.
Yeah, he just a little cool catch. Late with his hands. Yeah, no big deal.
For Georgia, it's now 4-1 as Daniel Jackson plates a run with an RBI sac fly. Well done.
Get something up out over the plate. Drive the ball to the outfield. That's an easy money sac fly. And that was not necessarily created by the free pass because Phelps did get on and was advanced. I guess he did advance by a wild pitch, but nice piece of situational hitting there by Daniel Jackson.
Swung out a miss by Obi. Obi walked and scored back in the second inning. Daniel Jackson, by the way, catching tonight. Henry Hunter caught all 3 in the Oklahoma series, so Jackson behind the plate for Georgia tonight. Drives in the 4th run of the evening. Devin Obi, a good-looking athlete at the plate. Two on, 2 out, the 1-1. Popped up, and that's going to spin back out of play. It's very early in this game, but here is Georgia with a run at least in each inning so far. And we talked about them trying to keep up the momentum from the Oklahoma series where they scored 16 runs in the last 2 games and had the 5 home runs. What do you think of the approach at the plate tonight so far?
Well, I think it's an offense that looks pretty comfortable. We talked about in the open that they kind of got it going. Oh, steal third base right there. That was interesting. We actually had a good look at Will Coggin behind Devin Obie, and he made a pretty emphatic call with the signs that he gives. They go off the number system. You see them all wearing the wristbands around their belt, and Will Coggin gives a number system, and I love it, man. A double steal of second and third there with 2 outs, and now you got 2 in scoring position.
But they're going to be stranded as Obie rolls to short to end the inning. We played 3. Georgia gets another one. It's 4-1. The junior 6'5", 181-pounder will take the mound.
Yeah, Alt Davis, you might recognize the name. He's been a star at Alabama his first 2 years, now transferring over to the University of Georgia. Hasn't been quite as dominant as we've seen from him, even though the win-loss record's fantastic, and he's striking out well over 1 an inning. The hits are way over his career norm, and so that's part of the reason why that ERA is inflated. But you're still going to see 94 to 96 with a good breaking ball.
He'll face 8-9-1 McGee, McDuffie, and Anderson here in the 5th for the Owls, who got a run in the first inning, but nothing since. Reliever number 4 for Georgia, 5th pitcher overall. McGee reached on a walk. So you just saw Texas, Berkey, and how impressive the Longhorns were against Texas A&M over the weekend. A little tougher task, perhaps. This weekend going to Fayetteville. That series starts Thursday night on ESPN2. Ooh, that hit.
Yeah, going to be very interesting to see Texas, who, for the most part, their premier series have all been in the friendly confines of Disch-Falk Field. So going on the road, facing an Arkansas team that Clay, I mean, when's the last time you say Arkansas lost 3 straight series?
3 straight series.
Not very often, right? So an Arkansas team that is hungry, a fan base that's going to be very engaged, and I am really interested to see how that series plays out.
Well, it only took 1 pitch for Wes Johnson to come on out. Talk to Alden Davis here. Does Arkansas need to win the series to be a top 8 when it's all said and done? Because after that series, is there enough hanging out there for them to pad the resume enough to still be a top 8?
Well, they do play Tennessee in the final series of the year, and that could end up being. I mean, they both could be top 8s for sure, but that could also end up being, depending on how both those clubs finish, that one could almost be a play-in for one of those top 8 seeds. So still, the one thing about the SEC, it's hard to make too many assumptions when there's still a decent amount of games left, because a 7-2 run or a 2-7 run can change the landscape quickly, and it's possible.
Checked his swing. Did he go? Yes. 1 ball and 1 strike. And the thing about Texas, and we talked about it, they're as good as they've been. They've done it despite not being healthy. 1-1, swung on a miss. 1-2.
Yeah, and it's not like supporting cast players. I mean, you're talking about Jared Spencer, who is one of the top 3 or 4 starters in this league, and Max Ballou, who was the reigning Big 12 Player of the Year and was hitting .360 when he got hurt, and was definitely their best hitter. So it's 2 of the worst injuries you could have on your roster.
Jared Spencer out for the year, the Texas ace. Max Ballou. Jonah Williams, the freshman 2-sport star. He's a little nicked up too for Texas.
Yeah, he had a hammy last weekend. We were really excited about seeing him play. He's just getting his career started, but They are raving about the talent of that young man.
Ground ball left side, deep third. They're going to try to get the force at second, and they do, but hitting the wrong spot to try and turn a double play. So McDuffie wraps into a fielder's choice, one down. And now Anderson is up. Anderson 1 for 2 with a double. Number 10, Auburn will be at number 12, Tennessee. That series will start on Friday in Knoxville. First pitch is downstairs. Big series for both. Tennessee easily could have won that series at LSU last week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that late inning blow up in game one really haunts them right now. So they've lost 2 series in a row.
And 3 of their last 4. Yeah, they get beat by the Aggies. They go down and beat Ole Miss, and then they come home and lose to Kentucky. First time in the Tony Vitello era that they had lost back-to-back home series. And then they go on the road and lose a heartbreaker in the box. And so, yeah, I mean, we talked about Arkansas losing 3 series in a row, which is unheard of, and Tennessee losing 3 out of 4 is pretty much unheard of. But welcome to life in the SEC. And now you're up against an Auburn team that's a top 10 opponent. So, yeah, that one's going to be saucy there because that Tennessee team, I think, is going to be playing with what feels like their backs against the wall.
Pitch inside, nearly hit Anderson. 2 balls and a strike to the leadoff man. Chris Cole is on deck with 1 out and a man on. Auburn has been swept by Georgia and Texas, but some really good series wins too. Swung out and missed, 2-2. Vanderbilt, Kentucky, Alabama, LSU, all have been beaten in series by Auburn. Also a win against Oregon State early in the year that looks pretty good on the resume. So the Tigers, overall body of work, pretty impressive.
It really is. They have a really nice resume. And, this year probably more than ever, as we get an advancer there on the wild pitch, you try to do they beat them and they beat them, like you can't even, don't try to figure it out. Every weekend's brand new. Every day anything could happen with what feels like pretty much anybody but Texas.
Alton Davis, 3-2 pitch, gets a ground ball to the first baseman, Phelps. And he'll step on the bag for the second out. Davis hit McGee to start the inning. And that was the first base runner for the Owls since the second. And now they've got somebody at third for the first time since the first inning.
Hey, Georgia playing the bunt here, even though there's 2 outs and a runner on third. Slade Alford honoring the bunt from Chris Cole. He did it his first at bat. This is one of those things where you can't just assume he's going to swing the bat just because there's 2 outs and a runner in scoring position, because Cole could easily lay one down if you don't honor it.
1 for 2, struck out swinging his last time to the plate. 4-1 Georgia. 1 on, 2 out. And that comes out of the hands of Cole. Look out. We need a little more stickum there.
Time for some spray there. Is he not going back to the well? There he goes. Yeah. This is not a fun feeling play when you lose your bat. And to his credit, it wasn't a pure swing and miss. It was just a foul ball. But when a pitcher fools you so bad that you throw your bat, that's not a. It's kind of the walk of shame over to get your bat back.
Cole lashes it foul the opposite way. Cole, I said against Georgia the last time they played, had a really good day. In fact, the best day at the plate for any of the Owls, went 2 for 4, had a triple and drove in 2 runs. The Owls were held to 7 hits in that ball game. They've only got 2 hits tonight.
At Louisville, but I still think Florida State's one of the more talented teams in the country. And Oregon State, coming off getting swept on the road at Oregon, still in the top 16, but not a ton of margin for error there left.
Ryan Renfroe is going to continue to pitch here for Kensaw State. He's given up 1 run, couple of hits in 2 innings. Trey Phelps has a 2-for-2 night. Infield single, and then a clean base hit in the 3rd inning. Also has a run scored. LSU, the number 2 overall seed on that projection. They're going to be at Texas A&M this coming weekend. LSU now 14-7 in the league. After A&M, they still have a series against Arkansas, which will be good, and then at South Carolina.
So, Clay, here's how thin the margins are in the game of baseball, okay? LSU got swept at Auburn, right? Came home, won the first 2 games against Bama, got beat up pretty good on a Sunday, got run-ruled by Nicholls State on a Tuesday, and going to the 9th against Tennessee, they were being shut out 3-0, okay? So you think, okay, vibes aren't real high. Then they're down to their last strike a couple times, and they pull a miracle off and score 600 runs in the 9th. Then they go out there and get beat up pretty good in game 2, 9-3. But then run rule Tennessee game 3 on Sunday, and they're the number 2 national seed. Right. You know? And it's just so interesting how a play here, a play there, even over the last couple games, you could feel a little bit differently about LSU's resume than you currently do because of the way they came back Friday and the way they took care of business on Sunday. And that's really the margins that you're trying to sort through when those guys from D1 baseball are trying to project who's the 2 and who's the 6 and who, you know what I mean? Sure. The difference between these teams is very slight.
1 out for Colby Branch. I think an assist, especially on that Game 1 win for LSU, has to go to the fans. I mean, that was incredible how many fans stayed. That game wasn't over until after 1 o'clock in the morning, Baton Rouge time, because of the lightning delay.
You've been there.
Yeah.
There are no 3 harder outs to get in all of college baseball than the bottom of the 9th at the box. Those are the 3 hardest outs to get anywhere in the country, even at 1:15 in the morning.
Colby Branch 1 for 2. And an RBI single in the 1st inning. Struck out swinging his last time he played. Six in a row set down here by Kennesaw State pitching. Fly ball, shallow right field. Alec going back. Called off by the right fielder, Cirillo. He'll make the catch for the 2nd out.
I mean, think about it, Clay. They had like, what, 7,000 people still left at like 1:15? That would be a stadium record for about 90% of college baseball.
I think a lot of college baseball would take those numbers.
That would be a great weekend draw for most of the country, and they still had that at past 1 o'clock in the morning.
Now they're going to have a good crowd in College Station. Mercy. Back-to-back hit batters here in the 5th inning.
And this is another one of those HBPs that will always be a favorite of hitters, the ones that don't actually touch your flesh. Yeah, those that don't hurt, the old uniform HBP.
There is really a gift to this, and the Bulldogs have figured it out. I mean, especially when you do it that way, where you really don't get hit, per se. So this could potentially be a big inning now for the Bulldogs. Renfroe got those first 2 outs really easily. And now Daniel Jackson, who drove in a run his last time to the plate with a sac fly to center, has a chance. Had a great freshman season at Wofford last year, helped that team get to a regional. He has good power, 9 home runs on the year, but throws his bat out there for a bunt.
Is this the old Little League
I think so.
bunt to take here? This is interesting. They're challenging Jezernak's ability to throw a strike, and that now Wes Johnson. Oh, we got. Are they going to review that? They think it hit him?
I think that's the case here. We'll have to take a look at this again. First review of the night. We've had 5 hit by pitch, 1 short of a Georgia season high.
Yeah, it hasn't been a slugfest like we're accustomed to from the Bulldogs, but they have found their way on base through. Oh, that catches Jersey on the way back. Hard to tell. He's turning so hard. I don't know. Maybe his elbow guard? That certainly didn't look definitive to me. What you got, Clay?
Well, the first one, it appeared that it could have been so. That second angle, I didn't feel that it hit him, but I also don't think that Jackson did a great job selling the job either.
No.
And that's probably a freshman mistake there. Sophomore mistake, I should say.
Well, no, you could call it a freshman mistake just from a sophomore.
Yeah.
But no, I tell people all the time, if the ball clips you, just drop your bat and run as fast as you want to run to first base.
Sell it. You got to sell it.
Sell it. Yeah, a lot of times umpires won't call you back if you sell it with conviction.
Didn't hit him. Did not hit him.
Simple enough.
That would have been 3 in a row. And now Passeur's coming out again.
I guess we couldn't meet during the review. Feels like we didn't take advantage of 2 minutes.
The time that these two teams met back in February, they combined to use 16 total pitchers. So we're well on our way now. We're halfway there. This will be pitcher number 4, Ethan Oseda for Kennesaw State, a freshman. 6'7", 225.
6'7", 225. That is a big young man, and you would expect it to be a power arm. That fastball get up to 95 miles an hour with a slider and a breaking ball to boot. So the first thing you got to do when Oseda comes in the ballgame is be ready for the gas, because again, he can run it up there in the mid-90s.
2-0 count on Daniel Jackson. And that first pitch from Oseda's in there for a strike. So 2-1 to Daniel Jackson, the catcher tonight for Georgia. Of all the home runs Georgia's hit this year, Jackson has the longest. Went 465 feet back in February against Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, they have several guys in the lineup who have hit 400-plus foot home runs this year. But 465, that's something to talk about. Yeah,
I would agree with that. Wind dated, metal, it doesn't matter. You hit a ball 460 feet. You've compressed it. That's not another one.
That one missed him, but he's going to get first base anyway. So back-to-back hit batters now will walk to Jackson, and the number 9 hitter Devin Obie's going to get a chance here in the 5th inning.
Well, not another HPP, but base on balls. And as we spoke to their skipper, Ryan Coe, early in the ballgame, the free passes will kill you.
Oh, boy, you hope Devin Obie's okay. He just got his cage rattled pretty good by Ethan Oseda, and Oseda had so many big misses there, Berkey. You know it wasn't intentional. Still, the crowd doesn't like it.
No, the ball's been all over the place, and at some point. Oh, it looks like Wes Johnson. Now this is an interesting nuance of the rule. You can take a guy out to have him screened for a head injury, and if he's okay, he can re-enter the game. So that's what Wes Johnson's going to do there with Devin Obey, who at least on the surface looks like he's doing all right as he's smiling in the dugout. But man, you're right, Clay. Like Ethan Oseda just doesn't look like he has command of the baseball. And again, it's not been pinpoint, but it's just 11 walks in 16 innings. So this isn't a kid who's scattered it all year long necessarily. But that was uncomfortable.
Wow, this is pitcher number 4 of the inning. Jackson Abernathy coming in to try and get that final out to retire the 5th.
Would you believe that it started with 2 outs and nobody on, Clay?
I would. I was here for it.
I would. I have to look down at my scorebook just to believe it. It feels like a couple innings ago.
Well, Renfroe started the inning, got those first 2 outs. Jesernak faced 2 but hit a batter. Oseda hit a batter. And now Jackson Abernathy will try to get that 3rd out. And the first pitch to Brennan Hudson is in there for a strike. Hudson, his 4th plate appearance. He's been hit by a pitch. Otherwise 0 for 2. Brennan Hudson in the leadoff spot tonight for the Dogs. And there's a swing and a miss as Abernathy has been given, I would think, clear instructions. Don't hit anybody.
Something tells me they've given those instructions to the last couple pitchers. But.
Probably. And that's called strike 3. That's how it's done. Jackson Abernathy comes in and limits Georgia to just 1.